In this video, we are going to go over single strand tube Slingbow bandsets for the Hammer XT head from SimpleShot. We're going to start actually with band removal. These bands are in place, and we're going to go through removing these bands and then reinstalling them. Band removal is done with the same one material that installation is done with. We simply must move this ball bearing from inside the tube. The material that we need is rubbing alcohol. I have here some 91% rubbing alcohol in a bottle with a cap top, which is helpful to get the alcohol down inside the band. It's important to get lots of alcohol down in here. Don't be stingy with this. Go ahead and get plenty in. And what you're going to need to do is work the alcohol down around that ball. So some massaging, some stretching, and some twisting, and you'll get the alcohol down around that ball bearing. A twist works very well to get that alcohol down in, and once it is in, the ball bearing will loosen up. When it does, you will see very quickly that the bearing will move freely inside the band. So at this point, now that the alcohol is down into the band, you can see that the ball moves out very easily. It will just pop right out the end of the tube. And now this tube can be removed. One side is complete. Same with the other side. Pull it through. Put some alcohol down inside the tube. It's very important. Make sure you get it down inside there to lubricate around that ball bearing down inside. Squeeze. Work the alcohol down into the tube until it is around the bearing. Again, a twist is a motion that usually will get the alcohol down around the bearing, and when you do, the bearing will squeeze right out the end, like that. This tube is now also ready for removal. Now on to installation. Again, as with all slingshots, you must know the target side of your slingshot from the shooter side. The target side is the side that faces the target. That is this side. On the hammer slingshot, the whisker biscuit and bracket are on the shooter side, and you can tell the handle is only capable of being gripped one way. So the bandset, the tube, needs to be inserted from the shooter side to the target side. We will do it on this side to be more visible. As you'll notice, this will fit quite tight. I cannot get it through there very easily without any lubrication. So once again, we're going to move to our rubbing alcohol, which is the one and only lubrication that should be used for this process. Any other lubrication could cause catastrophic failure. The only lubrication to use is rubbing alcohol. The reason for that is that it dries and disappears completely. So again, with a little rubbing alcohol, you can work that band through. This is a tight fit intentionally because the ball bearing does the work in seating this. Go ahead and demonstrate that on the other side as well. I'm going to put some rubbing alcohol on here. You can even get some up on there. Rubbing alcohol is the perfect lubricant for this. It makes the latex just slippery enough to do what you need to do, but it disappears without a trace, and then the latex has its grip once more, and it is that grip, that friction, that causes this method to work. So now my band, my looped, or my single strand is in place, and it is time to return the ball bearing into the band to lock it into place. So once again, I can even pinch this band off a bit to keep the alcohol near the top. And I will just pour a little bit of alcohol right down the band. And I will take my ball bearing and I will insert it into the tube. When there is alcohol in here, it will move about very freely inside the tube. This is very easy when the alcohol is wet. It will move. So seat the ball bearing 3/4 to an inch down into the tube for a good secure fit. This is now complete as far as installation goes. When it's pulled into place, the ball bearing will not come through, and the friction between the latex and the steel will make this band grip the slingshot frame. So same with the other side. It will pull through enough to be able to do it easily. I'll give a little pinch, and I will put some alcohol right down into the tube. Go ahead and fill it right up, and we will insert the ball bearing into the end of the tube. Again, this is very easy to slide around inside because of the alcohol in here. So make sure both sides are equal so that your band pulls from the same length tube on each side. And when you pull through, it will seat that bearing into the Hammer XT head. And this installation is now complete, except that it is time to wait for this alcohol to dry. This is why we remind you that the only lubricant to use is rubbing alcohol, because it will dry and the latex will return to its normal state, which has plenty of friction and grip. You will see already this ball bearing is becoming much more difficult to move inside here. However, do not use this bandset immediately. This must have time to fully dry to make sure that this bearing will not move. Do not, under any circumstance, use a freshly installed single strand tube on Hammer XT. We recommend waiting a full 24 hours to make sure the alcohol is completely dry before using this bandset. So you can see now this bandset is installed on Hammer XT. And again, to remove it, we would put alcohol into the tube, work the ball bearing around until we can remove it, and then the band can be removed. Alcohol is the tool of choice for installation. We reiterate, do not use any other lubricants. If you use a lubricant that is oil-based, the residual effect of that lubricant will cause this ball bearing to move, and it will not be safe. So only rubbing alcohol. And rubbing alcohol, of course, evaporates very quickly. You can use it to insert the band into the head, as well as the ball bearing into the bandset. One final note is that when you tune your bands, you can make them shorter or longer by, once again, getting some rubbing alcohol down into the bandset and working it around the ball. And then we can shorten our bandset just by working the ball bearing down into the tube farther. You can do this to tune your bands simply by working the ball bearing down in. If you, for some reason, have a very short bandset, you can trim some of this excess off. We recommend leaving, again, 3/4 of an inch to an inch, so that when it is time to remove it, you have some material to work with here. So don't get too aggressive on your trimming. Trim to an inch or 3/4 of an inch and leave some out there. And again, make sure both sides are tuned to the same length. So this instance here, you can see one side is much longer than the other. Therefore, this bandset is also much shorter on the right side than on the left side. That's all there is to it. Band installation on the Hammer XT.